Starting calisthenics can be a very daunting task, and I'm going to help break it down into 4 different ways that you guys can start calisthenics and how you can continue with your training. So by the end of this video, you should be able to know how to start calisthenics, what different exercises you need, and also how you are going to continue and to see progress with calisthenics. So let's go ahead and get into this video. All right, so the number one most important thing that we need to understand before we even start working out with calisthenics, and that is going to be why. Why are we doing calisthenics? Is this for losing weight? Is this to build muscle? Is this to just get in shape generally? What is your reason why? Go ahead and think of that. And while you're doing that, we're going to talk about the pros and cons of calisthenics. So some of the main benefits that I see with calisthenics is, one, that it can be done basically anywhere. As long as you have basically a bare floor, you can do quite a bit with calisthenics. Number 2 is that it's inexpensive. You don't have to buy a membership at a gym to do this. And number 3, it's going to build real world strength, or in other words, muscle that you are going to be using every day in just normal life. And going along with that, it also builds relative strength. So our muscles may not look big, but what we can do with the muscle that we have is very impressive. And going along with that, you have a lot of different ways to continue to have fun and to progress with calisthenics. So getting all that good stuff aside, let's talk about some of the cons that we have with calisthenics. That way you know what you're getting yourself into and to see if calisthenics is right for you. So moving on to some of the cons of calisthenics, and one big one that I see is if you are somebody who is overweight and you are unable to do any types of push-ups, pull-ups, those are going to be very difficult. It's going to be very hard to start calisthenics just because your weight and your relative strength is imbalanced. And some misconceptions of calisthenics is that you can't get big and you can't get ripped doing calisthenics. And I think that's just not the case. If that's your goal to do that, I think calisthenics is a way you could get there, but weight training is probably the better way. So if you are more interested in strength, some size, and then also skills-based training, I think calisthenics is right for you. So those are some of the pros and cons of calisthenics. Let's go ahead and move on to some of the exercises and the foundational exercises of calisthenics. That way you guys know what you can start training and what you should start strengthening in order to get good at calisthenics. One thing I do want to mention is that I do have a workout PDF down below. So after you're done watching this video, you can download that and actually start working out. All right, so there are 6 different exercises that we use in calisthenics. In my opinion, that are the foundational building blocks for getting good skills and getting strong in calisthenics. And that's going to be our pushing motions, our pulling motions, our rowing motions, and our dipping motions, as well as with our legs. That's going to be squats and Nordic curls. Those are kind of the 6 that I see as foundational for calisthenics. So now I want to talk about how we perform each of these exercises. Let's start off with our push-up, and we can adjust how difficult a push-up is or is not. If you go up to a wall and you're pushing almost upright, that's going to be your easiest push-up. And the more you get level and or even inverted, the more difficult your push-up is going to be. So for most people, I would actually recommend either starting off with knees on the ground, or if you're a little stronger than that, then just do a normal push-up with your feet or your knees off the ground. So I feel like a good baseline is going to be 15 push-ups. So find the best position that's going to allow you to do 15 push-ups. Now let's kind of talk about how we are doing this push-up. So I'm just going to keep my knees off the ground. We're going to keep a nice straight body. For calisthenics, we really want to squeeze our upper abs and kind of almost round out our upper back. And that's going to protract our scapulas, or we're pushing down like this. So this is what normal people do, and this is what we want to do. So we're gonna go down and back up. and you're really squeezing those upper abs. And that's another pro of calisthenics, is you're using your abs with most exercises. So separate ab exercises are not necessarily necessary. So, but that is our push-up. Let's go ahead and move to our next exercise. All right, so next I want to show you guys pull-ups. So what I've got here is my pull-up bar, and what we're gonna do is just over shoulder width, we are going to go ahead and we're gonna hang from our bar. I like to do my knees tucked, and then we're going to pull up and down, and we're gonna control ourselves on the way down. So that's a more advanced pull-up. We can also do chin-ups, and to help yourself, you could have a chair in front of you to put your feet on and kind of use your legs to also help you pull up. So that's an easier version. With chin-ups, start engaged, gonna lower ourselves down. I'm just gonna do straight body for this one. And we're going to look up, and we're gonna make sure we are just slightly leaning backwards, and we're really just trying to use our traps to really just pull ourselves up and really kind of enlarge our chest as we're pulling. So those are our pull-ups, and that's one of the more difficult foundational exercises of calisthenics, just because it's a lot of weight that we're pulling. All right, so moving on to our next exercise, we're gonna be doing dips. What I got here is my ring set. You can use chairs for this. You can use a couch. I'll show that in a second. But this is the more advanced, where you're using all your body weight. Rings about shoulder width apart. Gonna pull up. And I like to do the RTO, ring turnout. That just makes it more difficult. On the way up, and we're gonna dip ourselves down to about 90 degrees. And then we're gonna go ahead, push ourselves back up. And I like to turn the rings out. So that is the more advanced dip. So for dips, I'd recommend about 10 reps. So choose a difficulty that is going to allow you to hit that 10 reps with having about 1 to 2 more reps in reserve. And when I say that, just kind of, you have 1 or 2 more reps to go until you're basically completely done. So we don't want to hit failure, but we want to go and we want to just get a little close to it. So with dips, just find something that's elevated. Kind of the easiest thing you can do is this, and this is probably what most people are used to when doing dips at home with calisthenics. With a dip, we're going to start here. We're going to kind of lift our hips, and we're going to sink down. Don't let your bum touch the ground. That's going to keep your muscles engaged, and then we're going to push back up and lift our hips, and that is our dip. I think 10 is a good amount of repetitions. So find the difficulty level that best suits you in order to hit 10 repetitions. All right, so the next exercise we've got is our rows. So I've got my rings here that I will use about shoulder width apart. For rows, I would say a good amount of reps is going to be 10 as well. So choose a difficulty that is going to help you hit 10 reps. Things that will help adjust the difficulty is going to be your legs. So if your legs are really close to where the rings are, then it's going to make it easier. But the further out you put your feet, the more difficult this position is going to be in this exercise. So for me, right about here is good. We want to make sure we are already kind of contracted. We got our back muscles engaged, and then we're going to pull. So we're always engaging. We're never going loose like this. We're always staying engaged with our rows. And that's another great foundational exercise in calisthenics. All right, next up we've got squats. And squats can be kind of a more difficult one to do with calisthenics because one way is maybe a little too easy and then the more difficult way is way too hard. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys a squat. So feet shoulder width apart, and we are just going to squat down and squat back up. And with squats, I feel like a good repetition is probably about 15 if you're using 2 legs. Let's say we're doing pistol squats or even like a shrimp squat where we go down, we touch our back knee to the ground, and then we come back up. That's our shrimp squat. I would say cut that number in half, so about 7 to 8 reps if you're doing single leg. And also to keep yourself more stable, if you're kind of losing your balance, just hold a chair or anything, and you can use that to help also push yourself up doing squats. And moving on to kind of our last foundational exercise, this is going to be our Nordic curls. So the best way to do this is if you can find a partner or use something like a couch. We're going to put our feet underneath the couch. And for some people, this can hurt your knees. It's gonna have a lot of, we're gonna have a lot of weight on our knees. So use a pillow or anything that's gonna help keep them from getting injured. We are in a kneeling position, and we are going to do, I'll show you a more advanced Nordic curl where you're basically straight body all the way down until you basically fall. You're gonna catch yourself with your hands. And for the most part, you're just trying to use your legs to come back up. That's more of the more advanced one. To make it a little easier for yourself, we're going to just bend at the hips, so at our waist, and we're gonna come down. And this one is quite a bit easier. The more leaning forward you are, the harder it is. So just find a good length. Right about there, I think for me is a little more challenging. And this is really getting your hamstrings really, really well. So that is the Nordic curl. And I feel like with Nordic curls, about 8, I think 8 is a good number for Nordic curls. So find a difficulty level that suits you getting 8 reps. So one of the last things that I want to kind of talk to you guys about is going to be how do we stay consistent with our training? How do we continue to do calisthenics in order to actually achieve our goals? And there's kind of 3 ways that I think of when I want to stay consistent with anything. And that is 1, having some kind of buddy or partner that is gonna help train with you or just help you stay accountable. Another thing is going to be your goals. So kind of the reason why you're doing this. Is it to lose weight? Like I want to lose 10 pounds before December 31st. Make sure you set those specific goals that way and have them somewhere you're going to see them as well. That's going to help you out actually achieve your goals. And one of the last things is having some kind of journal or some kind of log that you can keep track of your progress. This is just gonna help you see those little steps that you're doing that are gonna help you get to your end goal. So those 3 things are gonna help you out staying consistent. And one thing with workout training, a lot of people, like it's the new year, so everybody's all hyped up, hey, I'm gonna start training again. Normal people, I think most all people experience ups and downs, right? So even though maybe you stopped training for a while, as long as you get back up and you start training again, that's all that matters. So don't worry about those valleys or those dips. Just keep pushing, and eventually you will get to where you want to be. So with that aside, we're going to talk about kind of the programs and stuff that I recommend. And number 1, YouTube. YouTube is such a great resource. There's so many people out there that already have great workout plans that you can follow for free. So find one that you like and stick with it. I will leave my PDF workout linked down below. And also some other programs that I recommend, and this is more for if you are advanced, like if you are able to do more than like 12 pull-ups in one set, then I think Body by Rings is one of the greatest workouts. It's by Daniel Vadnal. Great workout program. I have a whole series on it. And if you guys are wondering what kind of workout equipment that I use, then I will have a link to this video which talks about my home gym setup. So with all that said, I will see you guys in the next video.